You know, when I see these videos, it truly makes me sad. Sad for the women who make them. And to be perfectly clear, I'm in no way trying to attack her or demean her or call her out in any way. I'm actually trying to help her and all the other women out there who tend to fall into this trap, because if she's at the point that someone passing by and giving her a compliment, someone telling her she looks pretty, makes her scared for her life, then she's got some serious issues, very serious issues. Now look, I don't know her backstory and I'm certainly not judging her, but I am speaking as someone who was essayed by a woman, who was forcibly AR'd multiple times at 13 years old. And if you went through trauma like that, as I did, I can certainly understand how it might make you feel that way. And I also know what it's like to be ridiculed for it, told it didn't happen, or you must have enjoyed it, or had said to you, as women love to do to me every single day when they want to mock me or silence me for speaking out, scream, "Who hurt you?" But here's the thing. By allowing that to continue, allowing it to control you, by allowing them to make you fear someone who simply says to you that you happen to look nice on a particular day, you're letting them win. You're letting them continue to exert their power and control over you. Look, I get it. I know it's hard. Lord knows it took me 25 years to figure it out, but you can and must move past it. Whether you can do it on your own or with the help of a friend as I did, or whether you need to go and seek the help of a competent mental health provider, I genuinely hope that you find some way to overcome that fear. And look, that doesn't mean you ignore it. It doesn't mean it's not legitimate or that you should forget whatever trauma created it. It doesn't in any way make you responsible for it. It just means that you're dealing with it in a healthier way. That is how you heal. That is how you move past it, so that you can get on with your life and stop having to live in constant fear. And here's another point to be made, because in so many cases, the women who say these things have never actually had anything happen to them. They simply have been told, convinced since birth, that it's inevitable, that something is going to happen to them. And look, that doesn't help women. That hurts them. It causes them to live their lives in fear 24/7, 365, literally from birth to death. And it's why so many struggle with things like depression at far higher rates than men. Because that's no way to live. Not for women, not for men, not for anyone. Living in that mindset leads to never-ending stress. It means you'll never find peace, never find joy, never find happiness. And I know, because I spent almost half my life living that way. Yes, there are bad men out there, but guess what? There's bad women as well. And in both cases, they're actually few and far between. Yes, they do exist, but they are far less than even 1% of the population. And yet you're letting those relative few dictate your life, dictate your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and in the end, dictate your happiness. You're actually giving to them the power and control over you that you so desperately want to avoid. I know, that's probably shocking to hear, but it is true. And I challenge you to ask yourself this. If it is indeed all men till it's no men, why don't you believe it's also all women till it's no women? If you're scared for your life every time a man walks by, then you for damn sure should be equally scared whenever a woman does. Shouldn't you? It's not a matter of degree, as so many others want to convince you. It's the simple fact that if you're going to assume an individual man that you encounter is bad based on the actions of a few others, then you must assume the exact same thing about every individual woman out there. Because like it or not, the fact is, if every man should be presumed to be a risk, so should every woman. And let me close by asking you one final question. If it's okay for you to presume that that man who walked by and complimented you put your life in danger, would you agree that in turn you put his life in danger as well with your assumption? Because it's fair to say that you did exactly that by assuming the worst of him. An assumption that actually could lead to a false allegation, that his compliment was some sort of harassment even. And then all you'd have to do is go to the police and say the 5 magic words, "I was afraid of him," and that man who simply walked past you and paid you a nice compliment would have his life ruined forever, based solely on a presumption you've made about him. Finally, I hope one day you realize that living in fear isn't healthy. Not for men, not for women. I get that it's been drilled into you since birth, that all men are dangerous, with no exceptions. But flip that coin over and see it from the other side, and ask yourself this: does it also make sense for every man to assume you and every other woman out there is dangerous? Are you okay with yourself and every woman out there being judged and labeled a threat, not by anything they've done, but simply because of who they are, what their gender is, or what they look like? That's a very slippery slope, yet one society as it stands now seems to be perfectly okay with.